More than 2.5 billion people around the world eat rice. That's over half the global population, and probably even more. But the issue with white rice is simple. It's refined. That means it's mostly starch, and these starches have a high glycemic index. When we eat foods with a high glycemic index, the starch breaks down quickly, rushes into the bloodstream, and sends glucose and insulin levels sharply upward. Because it's absorbed so fast, it creates a spike followed by a rapid crash, a quick rise, and an equally quick fall. Over time, repeatedly eating these fast-digesting starches can push the body toward insulin resistance. The pancreas has to work harder and harder, releasing more insulin to move glucose into the cells. Eventually, the cells stop responding effectively, glucose stays elevated, and the body moves toward prediabetes and diabetes. I'm focusing on rice because it's a staple for so many people. But the same thing is true for potatoes and pasta. All of them are high in starch and have a high glycemic index, which means they also deliver glucose into the bloodstream very quickly. And that's not great for long-term health. Now, here's a simple technique you can use. If you cook rice and refrigerate it for at least 12 hours, its glycemic index drops significantly, from high to much lower. The same thing happens with potatoes and pasta. And if you refrigerate them for up to 24 hours, the glycemic index falls even further. Why does this happen? Because cooling these foods forms what we call resistant starch. Resistant starch forms through a process known as retrogradation, where the structure of the starch changes. And once this structure shifts, our digestive enzymes can't break it down. In a sense, it becomes almost like calorie-free starch. You're eating it, but your body isn't digesting it the usual way, and it gets even better. Research shows that reheating the food after refrigerating it can increase resistant starch even more. So yes, reheating it is completely fine, and the benefits still remain. Here's what happens inside the body. Once resistant starch reaches the small intestine, it remains undigested because humans don't have enzymes capable of breaking it down. It then travels to the colon, where it acts as a prebiotic, feeding the beneficial bacteria in your gut. Those healthy bacteria ferment resistant starch and produce short-chain fatty acids, one of the most important being butyrate. Butyrate is incredibly beneficial. It supports colon health, helps protect against colon cancer, and reduces inflammation throughout the body once it reaches the bloodstream. Another key advantage: resistant starch improves insulin sensitivity, helping your body use insulin more effectively. Imagine that, eating rice in a way that actually helps your body manage glucose better. This same concept applies to bread as well. Bread contains starch, too. If you freeze it, some of its starch becomes resistant. And if you toast it after freezing, the glycemic index drops even further. So remember the 4 foods where this technique works especially well: rice, potatoes, pasta, bread. If you're pre-diabetic, diabetic, or dealing with insulin resistance, this simple method can make a meaningful difference. Keeping these foods refrigerated and then reheating them lowers their glycemic impact and increases their resistant starch content. Freshly cooked rice, potatoes, pasta, or bread, eaten immediately, contain the highest amounts of rapidly digestible starch. Cooling them triggers retrogradation, converting that digestible starch into resistant starch and turning the food from a blood sugar spike into a gentle, gut-friendly fiber. Resistant starch stays undigested, adds no calories, increases fullness, supports weight loss, improves insulin sensitivity, and helps reverse insulin resistance. Of course, portion control still matters, just like with any other food. I hope this scientific insight gives you a simple and practical way to improve your health, because it truly can make a big difference. Share this video with your friends and family, leave your comments below, and most importantly, make it a great day.